Hello and welcome to Unlocking Alpha, the Sprint to Value mini-series, where we dive into strategies that drive significant growth and returns. In this micro-series, we're exploring how organizations sprint towards growth, efficiency, and strategic clarity. This series is built around the 14-chapter guide from Cohen Resnick, a tactical field manual that provides step-by-step approach for how private equity firms and strategics should accelerate performance from day one of an acquisition. However, this isn't solely for deal makers. Whether you're in mid-market operations, leading an enterprise initiative, or scaling a startup, these chapters unpack levers anyone can pull and unlock value. Each episode offers one chapter, one core idea, and practical takeaways, all tied back to technology, execution, and what matters for the people on the ground. Before we begin this mini-series, I want to remind you all ideas, thoughts are my own. However, we will be providing excerpts from the Sprint to Value ebook, thanks to our host, Jessica. If you want to go check out the Sprint to Value ebook, head to this LinkedIn post where you can click, download, and read the full Sprint to Value ebook. We are just going to be covering chapter 1 and on sourcing and procurement. Alternatively, you can stay and listen to my sweet voice until we hand off to virtual Jessica here. And you can obviously check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Now, let's get into it. So today, we're going to be focusing on chapter 1, which is sourcing and procurement. This is a topic that, when often overlooked, but holds immense power for private equity firms and their portfolio companies. For private equity firms, enhancing sourcing and procurement practices has opened up new opportunities for value creation that has the potential to span an entire portfolio and produce significant savings through the life cycle of an investment. For many companies, procurement spend represents 40 to 70% of revenue. That means getting this right has an exponential EBITDA impact. A dollar saved here often equals $3 or $4 of new revenue. The most astute operators are now placing procurement at the center of their value creation plans, even before the term sheets are signed. Now, if you're reading along, flip to chapter 1 of the Sprint to Value ebook and dive in. And if you're listening, I'm going to hand it over to our trusted narrator, Jessica, to guide you through the chapter.
Private Equity's Sprint to Value Creation. 14 strategies to move faster toward boosted profits and returns. Sprint to Value Creation. Welcome. The private equity ownership horizon is short, and the goal is clear. Create value for the firm, the portfolio company, and investors. Finding the fastest and most reliable route to value creation is key. While a value creation plan should always consider the entire life cycle of an investment, we've found that the best results can often be obtained by focusing on the distinct parts of that greater whole. Implementing a series of value creation sprints that result in more immediate top-line, bottom-line, and operational impacts. Sprinting to value creation offers a practical, results-oriented approach to improving portfolio company performance. This guide contains insights shared by experienced, accomplished professionals from across our private equity value creation team, representing the various facets of our approach to accelerating growth. We hope they are a valuable resource for identifying and acting on the most important elements of the value creation process. Feel free to reach out to us for more details or for help getting started. Whether pre-transaction, mid-transaction, immediately post-close, or at any other point in the investment lifecycle, we're ready to offer guidance and assistance in building first class value creation plans and implementing the strategies needed to succeed. Chapter 1. Sourcing and Procurement. Optimize relationships for sustained savings. Sourcing and procurement practices have evolved significantly over the past decade to such a degree that many consider them to be a major driver of EBITDA. For private equity firms, enhancing sourcing and procurement practices has opened up a new opportunity for value creation that has the potential to span an entire portfolio and to produce large savings throughout the life cycle of an investment. Because procurement spend represents a significant percentage of revenue for middle-market companies, improving the efficiency of procurement practices can exponentially enhance EBITDA growth while solidifying supply chain operations. A dollar of procurement savings often represents as much as 3 to 4 times the financial impact of a dollar of incremental revenue. Especially in times of heightened inflation and supply chain disruptions, sourcing and procurement should be put at the very center of a value creation plan, even before a term sheet is in place. Optimization should begin during the due diligence process with an initial examination of operational spend data. With many middle-market target companies lacking the proper analytic tools to measure the impact of their procurement decisions, this may require a deeper dive into specific agreements with major suppliers, with a distinct focus on the length of key agreements and the number of suppliers engaged in a specific area of spend, as well as the overall financial health of the suppliers. Sourcing and procurement should be put at the very center of a value creation plan, even before a term sheet is in place. Key vendor agreements, especially long-term ones, can reveal a great deal about how a company conducts its business. The following can be signs that management may be purchasing goods or services at suboptimal pricing, and thus indicate opportunities for PE firms to implement value-creating changes with long-term impacts, such as renegotiating terms and pricing, or even switching vendors altogether. Major vendor relationships not recompeted in the last 12 to 24 months. Evergreen agreements with no expiration date or termination clause. Pricing structures with automatic annual price increases. Contracts lacking supplier performance metrics or SLAs. Non-arm's length supplier agreements, e.g. affiliated parties or legacy deals. Some sophisticated PE firms have moved to hiring specialists in procurement to conduct detailed diagnostic analysis and drive operational improvements in order to create a systematic approach to EBITDA growth that can be deployed across an entire portfolio. Including key suppliers in the value chain can also have positive benefits. PE can often accelerate the implementation of a new process improvement, such as optimized billing and invoicing, by working alongside both internal procurement leaders and key suppliers. An increasing number of PE firms have taken the approach of consolidating the sourcing and procurement of products and services common to all portfolio companies, such as benefits and certain insurance offerings, office products, cybersecurity, transportation, and many others. The consolidation and centralization of this purchasing allows each PE firm to maintain increased pricing power over the suppliers and obtain key products and services at significant discounts relative to solely purchasing at the portfolio company level. While these sourcing and procurement improvements can rapidly yield significant benefits in the short term, they are not the end of the job. It's important to maintain a consistent sense of urgency in this area throughout the life cycle of the investment and continuously reevaluate. This will require defining key performance indicators, contract terms, spend data, billing trends, competitive pricing, and other points, and securing and deploying the analytical and tracking tools needed to monitor them. With active and ongoing management oversight, savings can be sustained and potentially even grown, all the way through to the point of exit. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us for this sprint of private equity's sprint to value creation. We look forward to having you join us for the next sprint.
All right. Well, thank you, Jessica, for reading the first chapter of the Sprint to a Value ebook on sourcing and procurement. Let's unpack that a little bit. As someone who's been in the trenches, I can tell you that sourcing and procurement might not sound exciting. It sounds like a dry back office function, but I've experienced firsthand the heartache that comes with not optimizing it. I recall a situation where a portfolio company that I had the opportunity to work with had a major supplier relationship that they had not reviewed in years. It was what I will call an evergreen agreement, meaning it had no explicit expiration dates. And through the process, we uncovered significant overspending on a critical component because pricing structure contemplated automatic annual increases, and there were no contractual provision tied to supplier performance metrics. From an outsider's perspective, as someone, so let's say outsider in working with the organization, it felt like they were bleeding money and it was uncomfortable and painful when this arose. We realized how much had been left on the table simply due to inertia and lack of proper oversight. That experience taught me that what seems small, insignificant details in procurement can snowball in substantial profit erosion. What we later find out on the dollar per procurement savings often represents as much as 3 or 4 times the financial impact on dollars of incremental revenue, meaning the dollar saved is kind of 3 or 4 times dollars earned, as we kind of mentioned above. So, going through that experience, it taught me to really think about the small inefficiencies in procurement and how they can snowball into substantial profit erosion. As we kind of called out before, a dollar saved is really a force multiplier in terms of the representation it does or means on the financial impact in terms of incremental revenue. So dollar saved is really, can make a difference when you're sponsor backed and really, the value, force multiplier or multiplier from your EBITDA value really matters. So for organizations, especially private equity firms and their portfolio companies that are less, let's say, mature or trying to think through their sourcing and procurement strategy, firms really practical advice, and I'll add my insights based on experience. So first, I'd like to start early and deep. Optimizing should begin during the due diligence process with an internal examination of operational spend data. Many middle market companies lack the proper analytic tools. This might require a deeper dive into specific agreements with major suppliers. Looking for these red flags, major vendor relationships that had not been completely bid in the last 12 to 24 months, evergreen agreements, automatic price increases, and a lack of performance metrics. These are all signs of suboptimal pricing opportunities for value creation. Second, could be considering bringing in a specialist, someone sophisticated. Some of the more sophisticated private equity firms are now hiring procurement specialists to conduct detailed diagnostic analysis and drive operational improvements. One of the big things that I know I've seen for organizations that specialize in just sourcing is that you can get looped into sort of a broader strategy. The best example, we'll just call it the paper towel analogy. I'm making that a little bit, but think about the fact that if you are sourcing paper towels and you could pay, let's make this up, $10 at retail, and you could go somewhere at Costco and spend, let's say, $9, you would probably go to Costco. Now, if you're working with sort of a sourcing specialist that can pool, let's say 10 companies like yours together, and they can get paper towels for $8 or $7, you'd likely go with them. And that's one of the big advantages of going with specialists in the sourcing. You can also think about it from a portfolio-wide consolidation, which is a very powerful strategy. An increasing number of private equity firms are consolidating the sourcing procurement of standard products and services across their portfolio, back to my example, where they're getting sort of economies of scale. And this can include everything from benefits, insurance, office supplies, cybersecurity to my example above. And the fourth is don't set it and forget it. These improvements are not a one-time fix. It's crucial to maintain a consistent sense of urgency throughout the investment life cycle and continuously reevaluate these things. This involves defining key performance indicators such as contract terms, spend data, billing, trends, and competitive pricing, and then deploying the necessary analytical and tracking tools to monitor them. In terms of today's market landscape, with heightened inflation and ongoing supply chain disruptions, the importance of sourcing and procurement cannot be overstated. It's no longer just a cost-saving measure. It's a strategic driver of EBITDA, putting sourcing and procurement at the very center of your value creation plan. Before a term sheet is placed is critical. Private equity ownership horizon is short, and leveraging the time value of money by enhancing your value creation plan as early as possible is paramount. These sprints can help you set up early for wins and ultimately achieve your investment objectives in a timely manner. Whether you're at the onset of an investment, facing performance barriers, or ready to activate an existing plan, the principles of optimizing sourcing and procurement apply. The needs of each portfolio company are unique, but there's always room for time-tested, proven solutions that lead to repeatable and scalable results. That wraps it up for this episode, or the first episode of Unlocking Alpha, the Sprint to Value miniseries. I'd like to encourage you to consider the current state of sourcing and procurement within your organization or your portfolio companies, and the potential for value creation is immense. So where do you go from here? So we've called out on this that you can go and check out the Sprint to Value ebook. We've got that linked. If you're reading this, then go check out the audio podcast, Spotify or YouTube. I guess if you're listening to this, subscribe. If you want to, I'd love it, share some of your procurement wins, losses, or war stories, DM me. I'd love to hear those. If you want to talk to subject matter specialists and the author of the chapter, you can go check out the CXO supply chain industry leaders Drew Illingsworth and Kim Clark Patchkin, who I've linked in the show notes and in the post here. And the chapter contributor is Jeremy Swan. If you want to connect with me, you can book a meeting on Calendly with me. You can check me out or DM me on LinkedIn. And of course, follow the show, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Subscribe to the mini series, which is also part of the Digital Deep Dive show, or a component. I'm sort of fitting it within that on LinkedIn. And check out the Digital Deep Dive show on X and IG at Digital 3D Show. That wraps it up, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on Chapter 2 of the Sprint to Value mini-series.